Rainbow Vine Church. I trust that you're all well this morning. I'd like to just share a quick story out the Bible with you and a few little thoughts. And I'm reading the parable of the lost son, and that's in Luke 15 from verse 11. There was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and set off for a distant country. There he squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.'" So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. And then it goes on to say that his father wrapped him in a robe, put a ring on his finger, killed a fattened calf, and they had a feast because he was so thankful that his son had come home. But what just jumped out to me when I was reading the story is that it says in verse 14, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. And it just made me think about what we're facing in the entire world and as a country, that we are facing a kind of a famine. And I don't know about you, but I've kind of been in need in some areas. And I felt the Lord say that during confinement, He's going to bring change. And so I just speak that over your lives this morning, that during this confinement, God is going to bring change. And just like the son, he had a lot of wealth that he got together, and he kind of thought that that would last forever, I think. And yet he found himself in a pigsty, in a confined space, in need. And haven't we all kind of felt like that maybe during this time? Maybe our houses look like pigsties, but we find ourselves in a confined space, and we're in need. And for me personally, the Lord has just said to me during this space of being confined, during this time of being confined, that I need to spend more time in His Word. I need to spend more time praying. And so often we use the excuse of being too busy to do those things, to do good things, and to do things for the Lord. But yet in this time of having us confined, we can't use those excuses anymore. And, maybe the scaffolding that's been holding us up, our jobs, our routines with our children, our finances, our church busyness, whatever it is, the scaffolding that's been holding us up has been stripped away, and we find ourselves in a place of being confined and in a place of need. But just like the son, he ran back to his father, and his father welcomed him with open arms and blessed him and had a feast for him. And that is our Father too, and He is ready to welcome us back. And so during this time, would you just figure out for yourself, what are the things in this confined time that the Lord is calling us back to, that the Lord is calling us to change? And maybe it is reading His Word more, maybe it is praying more, maybe it is spending less, whatever it may be. Let's work on those things. So firstly, for us personally, as prodigals, would we return to the Father? And then secondly, earnestly, would you pray as a church? Join me and pray for the prodigals that need to return home to the Father. And maybe it's just one person you have in your heart, maybe it's 5 or 10, but would you earnestly pray today for the prodigals during this time of famine, during this time of being stuck in confinement, searching and asking questions and not being able to do the things that they normally do, but that instead they would have a sense of, I actually need to return to the Father. So I call all the prodigals home in the name of Jesus today. And would you join with me in praying for that? And so that's just a few little thoughts that I want to leave with you today. I trust it blesses you, encourages you, and maybe inspires you today to just think about the prodigals. Yeah. So anyway, cool guys. See you soon. Missing you all so much, and lots of love.